How's it going? Well, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Fritz, and in this video you're going to learn exactly how to get a very clear mix in your house music tracks. So the first thing, of course, is the proper sound selection. So in every genre of music production there are certain frequencies from 30 Hz until 20,000 Hz, which is basically the whole frequency spectrum of everything you can hear which is audible for your ears. If, for example, you have now too many elements which are in the same frequency range, let's say for example vocals which are between 1000 and 4000, and you have two synths playing in the same range between 1000 and 4000, they're going to be clashing with each other. So the goal is for us to first of all find instruments, and a synth for example which is between 500 Hz to 1000 Hz, the vocals take the range between 1000 and 6000 Hz, and then you have another element which is for example the hi-hats, which take between 10,000 or let's say 8000 to 15,000 Hz. In case you didn't choose the samples properly, there are still a few things you can do to fix your mix, but advisable you first of all get the sounds and the samples right. So the first thing you can for example do is the following. As you can see, this is the frequency spectrum analyzer, which is a free plugin by the way. So I have in this song multiple elements playing. The first element, for example, is the synth loop, which is this one here. So as you can see, it takes between 200 and let's say 5000 Hz. Now we have also the vocal playing in the exact same time. You got me spinning in circles and I'm ready. As you can see, it plays in a pretty much similar range between 300 and 10,000 Hz, which means that there are definitely now frequencies which are going to be clashing. The easiest thing we can now do, for example, is either sidechain compression, or what I like to use a lot of times is multiband sidechain compression. Multiband sidechain compression is a technique in music production where you basically sidechaining just certain frequencies to the other main instrument. For example, in this case, I think that the vocals, especially in house music or tech house, are more important than the synth loop. So what we're going to do now, we're going to take the vocal channel and basically connect it to the synth loop channel, but with 0% volume. On the synth loop channel, we're going to install a plugin which is called Soothe 2. You can also download the plugin TDR Nova, which is a free plugin which kind of does the same thing. So basically you go on this instrument channel, you're gonna upload in this case Soothe 2. Then on Soothe 2 we're gonna go on the settings option, go again on settings, processing, and then with two fingers click at the same time on the second sidechain option here, and then we're gonna basically choose vocal 2. Back to the original setting, we're gonna enable the sidechain setting. And then we're going to basically see that, so this is basically now acting as a multiband compressor. It compresses just the frequencies of the vocal which are coming in. Extreme, it sounds like this. You can hear that basically it ducks down heaps of that, but we don't want it too much, just subtle. Attack actually to 0. Got me spinning in circles and I'm letting go of the way you move. Make sure to like this video right now, by the way, and subscribe to my channel to not miss out any house music production tutorials in the future. The second thing we can do, what you probably heard in a lot of other YouTube tutorials, but I'm going to say it anyway, is high passing heaps of instruments. Usually I high pass it with the FL Studio Parametric EQ. I still don't use any fancy EQ plugin, I just use the Parametric EQ since I started, and I'm still using it every single production, and my song sounds pretty alright, I think. So usually I cut it at around 150 to 180 to make sure that nothing else goes through below 100 Hz, because those are the frequencies we need for the kick and for the bass. If there's anything else which is clashing with those frequencies, your mixes are gonna sound muddy. The third thing you can do is also low pass those instruments. For example, we want the high end, I'm talking about the over 15,000 Hz high end, to be for the hi-hats. So we can literally just cut it down like this. You're not gonna probably audibly hear any difference, but it makes a big difference when you want to master the song. For example, like this. You can hear, this is information you don't really need, so you can cut it away, like this. Audibly, not much of a difference, but in the end, you're gonna save decibel or headroom. That's why we want to make this track as loud as possible. This is a good way to master your track properly. If you also want to, by the way, speed track your house music production, I created this specific house music template where you have all those channels already assigned, bass, kick, specifically for house music. Also parametric EQs, high pass, low pass filters already ready installed. It's basically 60 ready to go mixing and mastering chains for also vocal chains, isotope trash. There's a few plugins in that you might already have. There's a few plugins you can also just exchange. If you want to get this template, make sure to go on gumroad.com. The link for that is under this video. It's just gonna save heaps of time. You don't have to upload all the plugins, name them all, color them all. It just takes too much time. We want to produce as much as possible. That's why I created it just for you. The next thing you definitely should do is mid-side EQing elements. For example, I like to do it for my instruments usually. I have on this high instrument bus, which is this channel 43, I have a patcher installed. So as you can see, all those instruments, they all lead to this instrument, this high instrument bus. So as you can see, I have this patcher. I'm gonna now mute it and also I'm gonna bypass it and also enable it again and see what the different difference is. So on this patcher, I have this kind of preset. So there's a few things I have here. The first thing is I have the stereo shaper, which is in this kind of setting. Save it if you want to do it, put it in your FL Studio. Then I assign it to two certain parametric EQs. This one is for the mid frequencies. So the frequencies which are in the center, the mono frequencies. Now you can hear the stereo. And this is for the sides. Obviously now we can just hear the middle because we completely cut out all the frequencies. So usually I like to also add a high pass filter here, something like this. So you basically cut away the low end from the sides, or even more than the low end, to create a bit more clarity. The next thing I do a lot of times is also not just multiband sidechain compression for the vocals and the instruments. I also like to just sidechain compress, first of all, the kick to the bass, but I also like to sidechain compress certain elements like instrument 1 to instrument 2 or to instrument 3, because even within the instruments or the synths you're playing, even within the layers, there are priority synths, and those are the synths you want to be basically sidechained to. You want basically all the other elements to duck down if this main melody, this main synth is playing, because this is gonna make it sound way more cleaner, because there's a hierarchy of certain elements. But that's exactly why I created this house music production template. And here comes the last step, which is gonna make your mixes sound way more clean, and that is sidechain your reverb to the instrument. So for example, this instrument is going to my aux channel, which is responsible for just the reverb of this channel. On this, I have, in this case, Valhalla Vintage Verb. You don't need to have that. You can obviously exchange this with like a Fruity Reverb, for example, or whatever reverb plugin you use. And then after the reverb plugin, I have the Fruity Limiter compression section, and then this one goes to the main plugs, which means that every single time the instrument is playing, even the reverb is ducking down. Got it? Basically creates more clarity because the reverb is not completely overpowered in the whole mix. It is very subtle in the background and just happens when it's necessary and the main instrument is not actually playing. You can now bring this obviously to the next level and basically put this reverb into a reverb bus, and then you can take just the high instrument bus and assign it to the reverb bus. On the reverb bus you have again a Fruity Limiter, and basically then you're gonna duck down all the reverbs together every single time a vocal, a main melody, or a main synth, or the kick, for example, is playing, which is gonna make your mixes way more clean. If you're obviously still struggling with this, I'm also offering a one-on-one online coaching in an 8-week program, or just single coaching sessions. To find out more about that, just message me privately over Instagram, because I can understand that watching the YouTube tutorial is one thing, but then actually learning it through someone who can teach you and tell you what is wrong on your track will basically speed up your whole process way faster. Make sure to check out this video as well, which explains exactly how to produce Avicii type house music. Very easy tutorial, and I see you bro in the next one.